And welcome back to the studio. This is called FAST. It's Father and Son Theater, and I'm with Luc Gill, and Luc is my son, or at least his mother tells me he's my son. Just kidding, but and we have some people to welcome in the studio with us. Luc, Lawrence Buckley from Ontario. Thank you.
Welcome,
Your grandmother is watching as well, Mamji. Thank you.
Hey,
and Noraini from Johor Bahru, who may be now in Kuala Lumpur. I'm not sure. But either way, she's watching us as well. So
welcome.
And there's so many things that we're doing with this program. The things that we want to do, or at least the vision I had, since you were asking me what we're going to talk about, and I said, basically we want to cover various different topics from a millennial perspective, and from if you're a millennial, I am baby boomer.
I think so.
So why does baby boomer sound younger than millennial? Millennial sounds like it's been like really old. Oh, Penang in KL now. That's it. Sorry, Penang, but in KL now. And Elizabeth is also watching us from the other room, I would imagine. Hopefully, Elizabeth, if you want to come on, we'll change the pictures behind you before you do. It'll be a lot of fun. That's why the first program got canceled, because we were not paying attention to that, so we had to erase that. But I thought there was some very good stuff on it, though. We may have to repeat that program at some point. So today, the reason I didn't give you a topic to research or something that we're going to talk about, I wanted us to be able to have a dialogue of our day and our thinking process about the day. A lot of people would like to have a optimistic thinking process, but they don't realize that even though we spout optimism, that the whole day is not like that with optimistic thoughts. We have to work into it. We have to work into the happiness. It takes a lot of hard work. You and I both know that. If it's left to us and we're alone, well, we'll be happy most of the time. The problem is we have to deal with a lot of idiots along the way in our lives. So, and so that's where the optimism tends to fade a little bit, especially with the hope and everything else that goes out the window.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. At the end of the day, it becomes a habit that we have to practice. Happiness is a habit. Optimism is a habit. And, everyone, you, me, myself, we all have these things to learn at certain points, and have to recheck ourselves. Right now I'm changing a lot of my habits that have me eating differently and living a lot healthier. And it's tough to do these things.
If you see, you and I are similar in a lot of ways. There is I don't know if you know it, but I think Aurora accused me of it one time, your sister, of being a workaholic. But what looks like being a workaholic was not. It's a form of ADHD. It's like, how long can you sit listening to someone talk about their cat or their aching knee, or the problem with my husband is that he never ever listens. And I don't know, a couple of times I've looked at you, but you were not there, thankfully.
Yeah.
And I was, and I'm stuck there in the coffee shop. And the coffee shop is our place for, in Varna, the coffee shop was our place to get work done, which never did. Our place to just, what's the word? Not breathe out, but not relax either. There's an in between that. Not to chill so much, but just to kind of brace ourselves for the world. I don't know what to call it. What's the word for it? It's at the tip of my tongue, and I'm trying to remember that.
I've rarely seen anything in between. I think you and I are both people of very extremes. It's
Lawrence
110%.
Lawrence hit the nail on the head. Decompress.
Yeah.
We use Varna for a decompression. The whole city, the whole country, we're there to decompress, because the rest of the world is hectic as heck. As well, that was redundant, but regardless, it was like that. So as we do that, we tend to watch a lot of people go by, and some of them don't just go by. They happen to recognize me, and they go, oh, Meta Secret, Mel Gill, what are you doing here? I said, I'm not really here. I'm here in spirit. It looks like I'm here, but I'm not. Oh, it's an illusion. they don't walk on. They come in and they talk. And so we end up being advice givers, me to the adults who've gone through this and that, and you spent the last, 7 years with me there? 8, maybe already?
Coming up on, yeah.
Yeah, and you would be with the younger crowd, and you were advising the younger crowds. Mostly women. I noticed mostly women, but I didn't know. It was just maybe the demographics were such.
Whoever needs help when they need help, I'm there for them.
There you are. Yes, you are. Yes, we'll we'll just take your word for it. And so coming back to working ourselves into an optimistic state, into a state of mind where we are in happiness mode. Remember, the Dalai Lama talked about the art of happiness being a thinking thing. You've got to make a decision every minute, literally. Should I react to this badly? Should I feel badly about such a thing? Or do I just let it go for now? And I don't know about you, but there were times when I held on to something I should have let go of and caused massive unhappiness. Like points of a conversation. I think I won, and it, like, in the end, the whole thing kind of worked out terribly. Have you ever been in situations like that?
Oh yeah, I've been in tons of those situations. And we talked in the last show a lot about the importance of balance, in terms of your health, your diet, everything else. But I think balance is also important when you decide, in terms of what you want to hang on to and what you want to let go of.
Example?
Not to, well, I mean, in a lot of my past relationships, you have to, I reached a lot of points where I needed to determine, okay, how much of this, toxic yelling and this and that is something that I can handle, and how much of it is just something communicated in the wrong way. And to really, dive down deep into, the intention behind it all is, I think that's the most important thing.
Are you thinking about that most of the time like that? Or do you ever reach a point where you just say, screw it?
Oh yeah, I reach plenty of points where I just say, screw it all.
Mm.
But it's all about being able to observe yourself, and really
Mhm.
determine, um, is where's that thinking coming from? If you don't observe it from an emotional perspective and you zoom out, and you know, you have to ask yourself, is it logical? Even if it's logical, is it useful? And even if it's useful, is it the way that you want to go forward?
Mm. I think logic plays very different roles when people are very emotional. Have you noticed that?
Absolutely.
Not a lot of people can be logical. So you kind of have to go
Mhm.
with the flow of the moment. I'm not suggesting that we focus on one gender when I'm saying that. But when I say go with the flow, I mean go with the flow of events, you know? Um, and that sometimes we have to, like fishing, you have to relax a little bit, relax the line a little bit, then reel in the point a little bit. And I think teaching, learning is that kind of a two-way street.
Yeah.
We got to pay attention to at some point. Vin from Perth says hello. Lawrence suggests that it might be the battle of the egos, right? Like
Always.
in your relationships, you heard this romantic notion. Remember, we talked about romance. Is it necessary
Mhm.
to be part of a relationship? And a practical person would say no, and a romantic person would say yes. Either way. But in a romantic relationship, the two people will become one. The question is, for the practical person, which one? because because
Yeah.
because there's always someone thinking some way, and they're not gonna let go of their way of thinking just because they met you. No matter how much they love you, they're still gonna think the way they think. It's not gonna change overnight. You may accommodate, but you're
Mhm.
not going to change much of what makes you tick and move and so on and so forth. And if they want to keep up, they're going to have to, assuming they're not keeping up. But then if they go past, then you have to keep up. Suba says, hi, Dr. Mel and Luke. You haven't met her yet. I think you did when you were in Singapore. You were going to school at the American school.
Oh
The Sing-
wow, long time
Ameri-
ago.
yeah, Singapore American School, International American School. I forget what they call it. Um, it was, I think that was the time they moved to Yishun, is it? Oh, Woodlands, sorry, Woodlands.
Oh yeah.
And Suba was just maybe 11, 8,
Yep.
or something. I'm not sure. But yeah, I've seen her grow also. She's gone through several different careers and learning. Now she is doing studies in, and this is where you complete the blank, Suba, so it would help you as well. And Eljana is watching. Welcome, Eljana. Eljana is now expecting her third child. Luke, did you know that?
I heard.
Yeah.
Congratulations again. That's incredible.
Yeah, congratulations. You just keep pumping them out. I mean, remember, 7 is a basketball team. Is that 7 a basketball team? So don't stop until you reach 7, and you be very, very happy. Toshia, Easy is listening as well. Hi, Easy. Welcome to the show. We're having a father and son dialogue. It's called FAST, Father and Son Theater. Dr. Mel is joking. The school is called St. Anthony's Canossian. There you go. St. Anthony's Canossian. Uh, I'm not going to joke because I was teaching at that school for a while as well. I was doing a lot of different motivational programs for the kids, and we were doing a super learning program. I was teaching them the various aspects of super learning and making everybody win as well. Oh my God, am well. What is oh my God, am well? I think she tried to spell Mel. I'm not sure. So Suba says, anyways, I've graduated last year from diploma in counseling from Kaplan, and I'm now on an internship with Youth Corps Singapore. Were you in Singapore, Luke, when I started the first diploma in counseling programs?
I may have been, yeah.
That we had about 90 people in the class at every batch, almost, and I was the only teacher at that time before it became popular for everybody to come and start to learn counseling, and then they discover how hard it is, how really hard it is to counsel people, and most of them fall off along the way. But that's what we do, don't we? When we're sitting at Costa Coffee, we're counseling people most of the time.
Yeah. Everyone's got problems. Everyone needs solutions, and together we're always stronger.
Remember what you told me? You were saying, Dad, why do you waste your time talking to these guys and counseling them? Remember that? And I said, you never know, because you'll never know who is the person that you help that ultimately might change the destiny of the planet. And because you didn't help them, then the planet goes to crap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so we don't know. And now, very pleasantly, you have done. You are doing that. Are you cognizant of the fact that you're actually doing that right now, even to people who, quote unquote, like you said, don't matter, to you personally and all that, even though there's nothing to be gained from that? Do you know that you're helping a lot of people? I've seen it.
I always like to help where I can, and as long as I can find the balance and get my own projects done, why wouldn't I want to give as much of my free time as I can to lift others up and
absolutely
keep everyone going in the right direction?
We are being joined by Onchad, and Shirley just joined us as well. So if you guys have any questions for Luke and I, feel free to click on this link, and I'm busy putting that link up for you, and come on the show or ask any questions here. Type it in, or type it into the Facebook page or the YouTube page also at the same time, and we'll bring you in, or we'll answer the question. Also, if you have a chance, you can share this on your wall while it's live. I didn't know you could do that, but we can do that. And so that when it's live, and your friends get a chance to watch this as well. So tonight, I'm just having an airy spaces in between chat with Luke, basically tell him that we don't really have to find the truth in anything per se, right? We're just, what are we doing? We're just talking about all the things that are important to us: love, abundance, health, happiness, relationships, the good and the bad of everything, not just the good of everything. And we want to talk about all of that. And sometimes having opinions about something is useful. Other times it's useful to just listen to those opinions from other people, because they may have a better perspective, a better, more learned way, or more experienced way of dealing with issues and problems. So that's why I thought having this wonderful father-son theater, it would be fun to find out what a young person's opinion is, as opposed to a more experienced person's opinion, so that you don't think that the experience comes when you're born with it, that you have to work at it sometime. And I've had massive failures as well. In fact, timely, because this question is directed at you, Luke. How is Dr. Mel Gill as a dad? Is he a fun, outgoing dad who helps you a lot?
He's certainly very fun. It's always he's Sorry about that. I have a call coming in on this phone.
It's okay.
He's certainly very fun. Always keeps things exciting. That doesn't necessarily mean it's always pleasant. He's the type of dad that you look and consider if you want to learn how to dive, jump off the high dive, or swim in the deep end of the pool. He's not the kind to go buy you the nice floaties and help you paddle out. He's the kind of roundhouse you into the deep end and watch you flop around a bit, but he'll always pull you out right before you drown.
Go ahead. Please speak your mind, Luke. That'll be very good. Yeah. Really? I don't actually. I have no clue what kind of a dad I am. I know that I make a lot of mistakes. I'm still making mistakes with Aurora, with you, and sometimes Luke doesn't speak to me for days. Those are the days I get things done. But no, I'm just kidding. But I do I piss you off?
I absolutely. I think in life, in every relationship, it would be weird if at some point the other person did not piss you off.
So you're You're rationalizing now. Give me an example of how I pissed you off. Just one. I mean, let's talk as openly as we can, just for fun.
Okay.
But we have to be strategic about what we share, because remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well.
And I've got my button on the thing, so I can always drown you out. So it's okay.
Beautiful.
Yeah. As you're talking, 7-second delay, Luke. In the radio, when I was in radio, I brought you guys in when you were babies, you were kids. Remember on the radio station, and you saw how I was doing the buttons and things like that. Nothing much has changed, actually. It's pretty much the same, except that we have our own devices and our own audiences to go to. Mm-hmm. So how have I pissed you off? Example, just can you think of one, or you can't think of one?
Off the top of my head, I can't think of one directly off the top of my head. I mean, I do remember that durian shop back when I was a kid, but I think I had that one coming.
Tell them what happened.
Well, how old was I? About 8, 9?
9.
Somewhere around there. My
9. I checked with the police if it was legal to kill you or not, but it said 9. No, gotta wait till they're older.
He had just finished doing some training down around Changi Airport. Full day of training, and I'd gone to go meet him. I had this can of soda at the time. I was really into practical jokes. I filled it with some sand, some seawater, little bits of random things I found on the beach. And I went right up to him and I said, "Look, Dad, I got you a Coke." And he took a swig, spat it all out all over the ground.
Yes. I choked. I choked. Literally choked on it. I was so taken aback and so touched that my son, along with my assistant, who had driven him there to pick me up from, I did a year-long training with the managers, supervisors, and the upper management of Changi. And I said, "Oh my God, he was thinking of me. His EQ must be so high. So he's not entirely like his mom." So I said, "Okay," and I drank it, and I nearly died. And it was like, "Oh, okay." And he couldn't stop laughing for 10 minutes. He was on the floor laughing, and I just was choking away. And the assistant gave me some water, washed it all down, and I never knew how good the Changi sand tasted until I tried it then. I think that would be.
That's what I'm here for.
So I told him I was going to get my revenge, and that don't sleep very, too too heavily because at some point you're gonna do that. So he and his sister hates the smell of durians. I mean, they literally vomit when they have it near the house or somewhere because they cannot stand it. For those of you who don't know from other countries, durians are these spiky fruits that when you open them up, the smell is, well, a lot of people can't deal with it. You know, the guy, what's the name of the guy who is on that strange foods? He eats worms from wood and
Andrew Zimmern.
Andrew Zimmern from Bizarre Foods, right? And he could eat anything. I mean, he could eat the entrails and of a goat just as easily as he could eat pieces of dung beetle from dung fresh. But he every time he eats durians, he vomits. He just cannot. The crew follows him to a tree where he just lets it all out. Now, for those of you who don't know what it tastes like, imagine eating custard, delicious custard. It tastes good, but you're sitting in a public toilet that hasn't been cleaned in a month. That's what it's like. Exactly. So Luke and Aurora hated that. So on one of the side roads here, I told them that there was a very nice beautiful shop over there. I said, but it's durians, I can smell it coming from it. Yeah, but you don't understand. There's a beautiful smell coming from inside. So he walked in, and like a sucker, I closed the glass doors. I pretty much latched them. And he was there, let me out, let me out, let me out. The inside, all the people on the inside were wondering, what the hell is happening over there? And he just, well, how many minutes was that? It was 10 minutes. Yeah.
Far too many. Time
Too many. Yes. So I failed as a father then as well. So he was in trauma until today. Yeah. Soul Sack says, yeah, they're like lychees. Far from lychees. Lychees they like. These guys like. They're okay. Vin says he loves durians, and Soul Sack says, saw it in Tanzania, durians. You have to try it. Don't just see it. You got to try it. It's an experience to have. Everybody should have at least once in their lifetime. It's a lot of fun. So, yeah. There are a lot of people watching here who want to be better dads, maybe. Or who want to have a better relationship with their dad. Any advice for them? Or the dads, what they could do that I didn't do, say for instance, or did do, or whatever?
My advice, I mean, I can't give advice for being a dad. I've never been a dad. Closest I came was, having a cat. And I think that I can give you advice for being a better son and having a better relationship with your dad is, when you step outside of the victimhood mentality and you, like, we always like to allocate blame, to our fathers, to our mothers, to everyone that's there for us for everything they did or didn't do.
Mothers is okay.
When you step into, your own personal power and you say, you know what, it really doesn't matter what occurred. What you have to see is the intention behind everything. And when you start,
10 o'clock.
when I started to look at what, how my dad's been there for me, everything that he sacrificed, everything that he's, put into trying to give me and my sister the best life possible. It's hard to nitpick at all those small little things that occur.
Wow. Yeah, I learned about those sacrificial chicken things. Was from the south of Florida. I think they got it from Jamaica. What's it called, that religion where they do that? There's a name for it.
Santeria.
Santeria. Let them be who they are, Lauren says. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Live and let live.
Or let sleeping dogs lie, whichever the case might be. So that's a very interesting question they brought up. You haven't wanted to be a father in the last little while, but for obvious reasons, right? I mean, look, I mean, yeah, it would have been nightmare for that kid, don't you think? And I would have just looked at you and said, "What the fuck are you doing, Luke?" Yeah.
Well, I I'm certainly at some point I would love to be a father. I'm sure it's a very rewarding experience.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Then I will have the revenge I need. You see,
yeah.
so I can sit back and laugh my head off when he answers you back, and I cannot wait.
Karma always has a way of coming back to bite us somehow.
Yeah. It'll be a lot of fun. But what I meant was now you have someone who is mature and has a head on her shoulders for a change.
Yeah.
Which means she has a neck. And so,
No,
so
I'm very lucky to have Ellie in my life. I mean, she's
yeah,
the if if I were to have kids one day, she's the mother
she's the
that I would
mom.
imagine.
I,
And
I I I see that also. I see that
yeah,
possibility, and it'll be very good. Suba says, I need to go, Dr. Mel and Luke. Parents want to watch Singapore general election results. Thank you and take care. I
oh,
guess we can close the show now because Suba is not going to be here. So it's actually the election results are now. And I give you two guesses who won. Uh, the way it's being rigged right now, there's only one winner. It's obvious already from the start. So let's see what happens. If it is any other way, I tell you, then the gods must be listening. I have no idea if I should even say that, but
well,
I pity the old people, Luke, the people who built this island. They're being treated unkindly, and nobody past 60, 70 should be waiting on tables just to make a living, just
yeah.
cleaning up and carrying cardboard. The country should take care of them. We have the GDP of Switzerland,
Mhm.
but we don't have the living standards of Switzerland at a $15, $18 minimum wage and all of that. So anyway, I don't want to talk about it. It's not my place. But in Bulgaria, we don't take a lot of things for granted in Bulgaria.
That's because there's not a lot to take for granted.
Exactly, because every good thing we have, we're every good thing we have, we're very thankful for, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And it took maybe 3 months of a virus in New York for you to realize what you had there,
Yeah, very much so.
right?
I mean, we were on a 3-month lockdown over there, and um, it's I was lucky enough to have my sisters to stay with, but it it's difficult. We don't take we take a lot of things for granted in our life. Having our own space, having our own routine, having and what we have to do going. Well, yeah, I would say New York definitely put a lot of things in perspective.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm curious. But I mean, before we launched off on that other topic, I would be really interested to hear the answer to the question about being a better father, because I'm sure there's some people out there. I mean, I know that I would love to be as great a dad as you've been to me. And are there moments where, um, just like happiness, just like uh, gratitude. There's moments that we have to remind ourselves and go in the right. What's the word?
Like when I discovered that it was illegal to sell children on eBay.
Oh, yes. Just like that.
Oh, just like that. Okay. Preslava is watching us also. She's Pressy, in case you're still listening, Luke is back in Bulgaria, so he'll come visit you sometime.
Absolutely.
You've seen his shop, right? I've taken you to his shop, right? Yeah.
Right by Costas.
She's doing quite well. Exactly. Right behind Costas. She'll tell you about the great place to park as well if you need a place to park for free. It's a lot of fun. Perfect. But got to maneuver. I don't understand. So you're asking for feedback from everyone, right? To tell us in your experience, guys, what would make a person a better parent, father, or a mother? What do you think you would love to have seen from your own father or mother? And that would be very good. Listen and encourage, but not try to change. That is powerful. In fact, that is enlightened parenting, if I can say so. Try not to change or control. Oh, this one? Absolute no control. Lawrence control. It's like they give you this machine called a child and somebody else's remote. Move forward. No, sit. No, obey. Throw out garbage. The remote doesn't work. We got somebody else's remote. So that's God's ultimate joke.
Yeah, just switch a lot of the buttons on it.
Yeah. Which is also very useful. But you see, children teach us one very important lesson, and that is unconditional love. So even if they turn out to be what's it? Give me a good word to use, Luke. Even if they turn out to be the worst blankety blank blanks on the planet and cursing you in the middle of a book fair, things like that, yeah, you still have to love them because, hey, this is unconditional love. Lauren says he understands. He has 2 sons. So yes, obedience has gone out the window. It doesn't work. So, but anyway, it doesn't matter. The point is to be there when they need your help as much as you can. So I think Luke and I had something a little bit more special than that. We went through a hell of a lot of difficulties that one day we'll write about and we'll say, how the heck did we survive that? You know,
yep.
We were being cheated. We were being cheated by people, even as we were rising in fame and doing what we're doing, being cheated by people all the way from Japan to Serbia to, holy crap, Croatia to Thailand. It's like, do these people not stop? It's like, so the virus has been very good because it allowed me to pull away from all of these things. Don't want to do any seminars. And as a matter of fact, Luke, I feel comfortable not doing any right now because because I created all my competition in Asia. Did you know this? And even in Bulgaria, I started off with this master trainer program, turning people into trainers and master trainers and masterful on stage. And they're all my competition, literally. And so it's like, wow, I did a great job. But damn, shit. And what the hell? So we have to go in a different direction. And that's the direction that you and I are headed on right now. So today's program is called Father and Son Theater. We just want to chat with each other. There was no topic per se. But if you'd like to be part of this program and share your thoughts, not opinions, I say thoughts, basically, that would be very, very good, because maybe you want to talk about some unexpressed change of mind or heart that you've had when you were growing up. Maybe it's, who knows, like Lauren said, maybe everything was meant to be and you had to go through what you needed to go through. Actually, Luke, it's true. If we didn't go through what we needed to go, or what we had gone through, all of this ability to communicate ideas back and forth. Remember before, it was exactly like that Cat Stevens song, wasn't it? Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Cats in the Cradle and the Silver Spoon.
No. That's Cats in the Cradle. I'm talking about what is that message now? It's not time to make a stand. Da, 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 easy. Da, da, da. And then the son comes in a very whiny voice, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Can't remember the words to it, but you know what I mean. So sometimes the communication before was like that. You spoke, you didn't think I was listening. And there were times when you were not doing something correctly, and we won't go into details about that. And you would look at me and say, there's that look, you're judging me. What that look? And I was just looking and saying, I don't know what to do or what to say. I have no clue what to do or say at that time. And you thought it was judgmental, and I was being judgmental. Do you remember that?
Absolutely.
I actually had no clue, Luke. I mean, what the fuck do I do then? I have no clue. It's like, wow, this is going to be, and I said to myself, this is going to be hard. It's going to be harder than it's going to be really, really hard. It's like, wow. But
I mean,
because of what we went through, together, I might add, here in Varna, it's nice to have somebody who's awake that I can talk to and alert. And in the beginning, I didn't see both of you guys because you're in the bedroom quite a bit, and I had to build you guys a new bed because of that. But you know what I mean? Yeah, the rest of the time it was okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I've loved spending that time and having those conversations with you too. And
Why is your jaw so tight? Do you realize your jaw is tight now?
my jaw
Are
is
you
tight.
are you measuring what you're saying? Like, are you being
of course
diplomatic?
not. Why would I want to be diplomatic on a live stream?
Why not? No, let's have an open conversation. Joycelyn from Scotland says hi. And
Hi,
Joycelyn,
Jocelyn.
I got your message from Ashok, and I will call you. I haven't had time. And our friend, a mutual friend, Luke, Andrew, who is a musician, got involved in a car accident or something just a few days ago. I was talking to him on the phone. He was just going through surgery, so I did some distance healing for him as well. He's I haven't called him yet because of the busyness of the day, but now he's on Eastern Standard Time, so that would put him at about 10:15 in the morning, right?
Wishing you a speedy recovery.
Yeah, he will be fine. He'll be fine. Sometimes you send yourself into the future and you can see things. You've had a near-death experience, but you don't remember much from it.
Yeah, well, I think it's safe to say I've had a couple, yeah, but I believe you're talking about my ischemic event, correct?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What did you go through? See, even Noraini says that. Lukey Lee, which is you, I guess, looks very tense and being very careful about what he says about Dr. Vel. You are. You can say whatever you like, Luke. Don't worry. Remember, we can always eject this program.
Absolutely. Well, um, anyway, back to the ischemic event. Yeah, I did have a near death experience. It was something called a TIA, a transient ischemic attack. And at the time, I was well, when was this? 5, 6 years ago, almost.
The time
Um,
of that
so
Yolanta, what I don't know
maybe
how,
even 6 or 7. Um,
6 years maybe.
and yeah, um, I was out with some friends, and I'd been having a couple drinks, and at the time I was smoking very heavily, um, chain smoking, and um, I was out in a circle of friends, and all of a sudden everything just looked very red. All of a sudden, it was, and the entire world around me just started getting smaller and smaller, almost like a tunnel vision. And next thing I know, I'm waking up on the ground. My friends are trying to help me grab some water, um, and I didn't even realize what had happened at first. Um, and I went home to go sleep it off, and the next day, it was, I didn't realize for quite some time, but it had some major effects on me, even though I wasn't conscious of it.
Your
And when
speech,
my
your ability to,
speech, my
yeah.
memory, even I noticed intensely when I began to bodybuild that the entire right side of my body grew and was a lot weaker than the left side of my body. It grew a lot slower. Um,
Mhm.
and so there was certainly a clear imbalance there, and it was hard to try to train and put in that extra work um, in order to maintain that symmetry. But it definitely taught me a lot, and it taught me a lot about what's important. And all you can do is just work twice as hard and try to maintain that balance and symmetry.
Hmm. I have a question, but I don't know how to phrase it.
Oh, that's okay. I'm not easily offended.
What what makes you think it was going to offend? It
I
wasn't going to offend. It was going to have yeah, I didn't want it to be more emotional than it needed to be, but there were times you felt like you were alone doing all of this, regardless of how many people were helping you, da 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 da, or your mother or your father or your, who else. But in the time that you felt alone or lonely, how did you? What kind of thinking did you go through to pull through that? Because obviously you pulled through. You're here now,
Mhm.
but was it an accident? Was it a fluke? You don't know how the fuck he just got here, or what?
um
What kind of thinking? How did you? What were you thinking that allowed you to change? Or
change from feeling lonely. Is that the question?
well, we all have this aloneness feeling, and the minute we transmute it from loneliness to aloneness, wouldn't it be nice to have, a partner? Da 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 da. Wouldn't it be nice to have a quote unquote tribe? Wouldn't it be nice to have no need of whatever and da 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 da. And
Absolutely.
so
It,
somewhere
it,
along the way, you're still transiting, but you came from a very dark place.
yeah. I think when you translate your needs into wants, and I've heard you speak about this before as well. Um, when
Preferences.
you're feeling lonely, it's if you feel that transition to being alone, I've had, I don't know how many of you out there have done the same thing. I've had some of the best dates in my life where I just took myself out to go eat go watch the movie I wanted to watch, and not to say that it's not more fun sometimes to do things with friends, but taking that alone time to go inside yourself and treat yourself without needing someone else, without needing anything. It's a very liberating feeling.
Wow. So even with Palmer and his 5 daughters, I mean, stringing along and all of that, you don't even need the sex sometimes, right?
I don't know who Palmer or his 5 daughters are.
Meet Palmer.
Oh, okay.
Self-love. So what I'm suggesting is that sometimes you come to a place in life where you are fulfilled, that you don't need somebody else to fulfill you. Like, say for instance, a certain guru we know in New York.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the shy shaman. I'm going to be on the Shy Shaman's program tomorrow, celebrating life, and I think he's talking tomorrow about karma. I think.
Okay.
I'm not sure, so we'll see what we can do about that. But if the Shy Shaman is listening, would like to come on, please, by all means, come. Looking forward to seeing you and talking here. And Joycelyn, also give me a time difference that we have, so that I can avail myself to you. Probably is today Saturday? No, feels like Saturday. Oh, it feels
Friday.
like Saturday because it's a holiday in Singapore, Luke. I forgot to tell you, it's a election day. Everybody goes and does this thing that we do, symbolic by all counts, voting, and so and then we have this results, which are known ahead of time anyway, so it's all there. And so Saturday, Joycelyn, I will call you in your time. You want to read Joycelyn's question to you?
Yeah, absolutely. I can't see it on my end here.
Oh, you know why? Because at the top of your screen, you have private. Switch it to public.
Oh, okay.
No, there they are. The light has turned on. I read it for you. Or you can read it.
How long have you been separated, Dr. Mel? I'm just curious. I'm a single mom. My son is 17 years old, and I asked him if he wants to reconnect with his dad. He said, "What for?"
Luke says that too once in a while.
Well,
I say, "Hey, Luke, let's go for dinner." Before.
Well, we have very different tastes sometimes.
In just about everything.
Yeah. Different diets to stick to.
or as Ashok more aptly put it, the good, the bad, and ugly side of karma.
Mm-hmm.
So answer her question.
Anyway, I'm not sure exactly what the question was. I mean, my father's never been absent from my life. He's always been there. He's always been a phone call away. I would see him during the summers. My parents were certainly separated, and I lived with my mom in New York for quite a long while.
Divorced.
Yeah, sorry, divorced.
We're not separated.
Yeah.
We'll never, ever come back again.
And so I spent quite a bit of time going over to Singapore in the summers. I tried a couple of years of school there, but as any
at At 9 years old, when I brought him to Singapore to spend a year with me, I put him into one of the best elitist schools in Singapore because that's one of the schools I went to. And they had a waiting list about 2 years. But because I was on radio and the whole country knew who I was the Dr. Mel Gill. And so he skipped ahead of the queue and he went there into the school. And after about a month, I don't think you lasted more than a month in school. He says he was crying all the time and he's depressed all the time. He says, this school, they make you cut your hair all the same way. Everybody looks the same. Your hair has to be this way. Your uniform has to be this way. You have to wear this and everything has to look, and everybody looks exactly the same. And then the teacher says, be creative. It's like, what the hell? We can't wear our own clothes. So he's too used to the American system in New York. So that didn't work out too well. I tried to make him stay by giving him a puppy. What the hell dog was it? One of these edible things. Chihuahua. There you go. It was so small you could put it 2 slices of bread on either side, and that's your sandwich for the day. And so he took it home with him to New York, and it's the funniest thing because he went back in with me in December. It was snowing, and the snow was like what, 2 foot or so.
Yeah. Right up to the stomach.
And these little dogs are supposed to be afraid of the cold. And here was this little thing jumping out, boom, disappearing in the snow. Jumping out again and disappearing. He loved the cold. And anyway, then after that, of course, he continued with some school there. Then I brought him here in grade 11. Is it grade 11?
Yep, grade 11.
Grade 11 to the American school because I thought that would be better. And again, they had a 1.5 year long queue of people waiting to get in and Singaporeans, But because I was who I was, it was so funny. The principal, the registrar, I can't remember her name, said, "Oh, I'm so sorry, Dr. Gill. We cannot, we have to send him there. We have to wait a 1.5 years, maybe grade 12 will be over here." And he says, "You're that Mel Gill on radio." I said, yes, I am. My principal wants to talk to you. So the principal came down and he says, "You are doing a great service for Americans everywhere, and you are doing and my God, and what are you doing here?" I said, "I'm trying to get my son in, but I hear it won't be available." "No, let him start next week." And so before I got the papers in, anything in, nothing, I signed nothing, and he was already starting school. And of course, he didn't study very well, dating in Victoria's Secret underwear model, driving when he's not supposed to be driving Lamborghinis of the richest man in Singapore, things you shouldn't be doing. He did. And so, yes, the experiments were to bring him here, bring him back, and do all kinds of stuff. He was once my photographer, helper with the lights when we were doing nude modeling shots of some famous personality, political figure, so on and so forth. So we had a very interesting father-son relationship in life. It has been a bit odd. And I was coming to start I was coming in to finish a question. What was it? Can't remember. Do you remember? I didn't know where I was going with that. Well, anyway, let's see what Joyson says. When was the time when you need a father figure? I mean, because people always tell boys need somehow a father figure, but I just don't want to force my son to do this. I think when it's time, when the boy is ready, but my son is just happy boy, very sensible, very independent too. I didn't see a question in there, but that's good. Independence is what we want our children to have. Codependence is when you are overly involved in their lives and you don't allow them to make the decisions for themselves. You don't allow them to make the mistakes that they need to make to be able to make to be able to come up with their own decisions in life. They'll always be turning to mommy or daddy or husband or wife or somebody for that. And so teaching your son to seek validation from within, that's good. But if he has father issues where the father is very hostile, or even worse, what's the word when they are, stonewalling, cold, emotionally cold, that can lead to all kinds of other problems as well and issues. I don't want to discuss that so much here because it would open up another can of worms.
But
Because
I
yeah.
do think a good point is that you mentioned he was 17 already, and 1 year away from being 18 and an adult. I think the fact that you say he's very sensible and independent is a great thing, because at that point when you can step in to your complete power and look out and determine what kind of person do I want to be. You don't need to get that from any particular father, mother, brother, sister figure. Ultimately, you have to decide what do you want for yourself and step into it.
Sure. Easier said than done. I'll tell you why, Luke. Because you were born with me being your influence for the first 2 years of your life.
Yeah.
Aurora had your mother for the first 2 years of her life. And if you know me and the experiments I have done with you, we're talking about the Doman method, Doman Delicato with the flashing cards, all of that. And what I did with Luke when he was 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5-month-old baby, and his mother was screaming all the way through. I was flashcards with facts behind this, and I'll say Leonardo da Vinci, born Medici, da 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 da, and so on and so forth, and so on and various other painters, and then we'll go to another subject. We'll go to architecture. We'll go to something else, and science, and so on and so forth. I don't know where the flashcards are. Your mother gave them away at some point because she was fed up of me turning you into a robot. But let me tell you what this robot can do, because I believe that even though he didn't respond immediately, when he was about almost a year old, we brought you to the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City. And this boy could just point out Da Vinci, Rembrandt, Picasso, da 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 da. He knew all of that. And he could even cite, in some cases, where they were born and what countries they were in. So, and other things as well. So I fed him with the vocabulary also as he did things, and I also helped him with sequencing problems. And once your sister had that sequencing problems, but did you notice one summer with me and it disappeared? It's you see, it's brain development. And your brain is limitless. So you were born thinking. So when that whole split happened, whoever's fault it is, we're not looking for fault or anything else like that. This is not another program. We'll talk about how your mother was responsible for everything else. But just kidding. But in this thing, his thinking, Joycelyn, is such that he became fairly independent and fairly willful at that age. He kind of knew exactly what he wanted to do. I can tell you some funny stories as well about him as he was growing up, and he would test us. He would test our patience. He would feed the VCR. I don't know if you know what VCRs are. People still remember VHS tapes. He would feed the VCR with porridge because he hated his porridge, his oats, and he would put it in there. And we would tell him, Luke, don't do that. If you do it again, we never spanked them. Oh, no, I never spanked the kids. Your mother would hit you with the curtain rod, with anything she could find. But I would give them a flick, and that would be enough. I mean, it's symbolic, but it also stings like that. And that's enough, and you see them whimper. But I said, Luke, do not put, if you do that, I'm going to give you a flick. And he'll look at me, and he'll just do it quietly and see what we would do. And So we have to execute and all of that as well. He would do stuff like that. Or I would talk to him. I would be at home in New York, and I hear screaming on the other side, and Aurora would come to me, and she was what, 3? And you were 6? Can't remember, 5 or something like that. And anyway, she came screaming, Luke, hit me, something like that. And I said, Luke, why did you hit her? For what? Well, she bit me. I said, yeah, but when you hit someone, it's violent. There's no way to do that. You can work it out. There's a way in which you can work it out. And people who hit each other, you remember that? People who hit each other have just run out of ideas. That's what it is. That's the violent people are people who run out of ideas, and so they hit each other. Now apologize to your sister and see how you can work this out. Next thing I know, she screams again, and he hit her. And I said, why? He said, I ran out of ideas. Okay. So that's the kind of thinking that you're talking about. And not every child is like that. So he had a little bit of a head start. So because he was overthinking stuff, when that whole separation happened and the divorce happened, he was more emotionally, what's the word? Distraught than Aurora was.
More impacted, more aware.
More impacted, more aware. And so a lot of things were heavy on his mind and things like this. So slowly he had to even work himself out. In fact, he's still working through it now as well. There's a lot of things. I mean, look at our distance and our separation right now. I mean, we talk a lot, but we're not close to each other physically. You're on the other side of the world, 9,000 kilometers away. I just Alexi was asking me the other day. I said 8,974 kilometers to be exact, in Varna, and I'm in Singapore. So, but still we talk. We talk every day, as much as we can. So I hope that helps you. It's not one answer will be or one solution works for everybody. Every child is different. She says, thanks, Luke. Yeah, Daniel bonded with his father when he was 4 years old. That's the last time, I think. Oh, Weewee. You haven't met Weewee. Have you met Weewee? From Thailand. She's an amazing, amazing, amazing woman. Very, very strong. Has a good relationship with her son. Weewee, if you would like to share your experiences with your son, in fact, Weewee, I'm going to do something amazing for you. I'm going to ask you to be on this show, okay? You will see a link in Facebook, or you might see it in YouTube, or you might see it here in StreamYard. And if you would like to come on and tell us about your parenting style, I know English is not your preferred language, and it's okay. I think Luke and I have struggles with English as well, so it'll be okay. I'll help you. I will translate. So come on the show, because Weewee's children are also her business partners, just to let you know.
Wow, okay.
And so
what business are they in?
Oh, multiple. I can't in energy well. I don't know what that means. She's in an energy well. With a bucket, you got to pull yourself up and then bit by bit turn the energy out. Or, okay, Luke, you lived in Thailand for a year, 2 years.
Yeah.
What could that possibly mean? What's an energy well?
She's worried because of her English.
Oh, energy is not energy; it's English. That's okay. That's okay. I'll speak. Luke can speak in Thai.
I can understand a little bit.
Luke understands Thai. He was in Pattaya for Nidnoy. Yeah, that's it. All of us are Nidnoy, Luke. Thank you. So, well, if you feel like it, I'm not gonna force you, but if you feel like it, come on board. And Joycelyn, thank you for sharing your story as well. If anybody else would like to share this story and their abilities that they've gained from their reactions, interactions with their parents or away, you'd be surprised. Wow, you can in English. Yes, we can. This is English, what we're attempting to speak, Luke and I. So we will do our best, and then we'll accommodate. Would that be good? And if anybody else speaks Thai here, also, you can be a translator as well. All you got to do is come on board and speak. Be in one of these boxes here that I'll put you in. Click that link. I'll have you on backstage, and I'll bring you up to the front, and you can do the translation there. And it'll be fun, and we'll have a lot of people on board, so it'll be okay. So we'll wait for people to come, and while we're waiting for them to come, someone was suggesting, I think it was, let me see how far back it was, Noraini, who says that when we started talking about having children, somehow you got very uncomfortable. That's what she can say. Oh, that's what she can see.
It's it's not something that I would like to do in the next couple of years. I have a, but when the time is right, the time is right.
That doesn't say anything, but okay. When the time is right, the time is right. It could be the words of a song as well. Who knows? When the time is right, we'll have dinner. When the time is right, we'll take a sail down to the coffee shop. When the time is right, when you feel like it. We wanted to talk about something else. What was it, Luke? Thriving in these very tough times. Mm-hmm. And you are working on a few things, and I'm working on a few things, and they are very much overlapping. So yeah, we are working together now on these things because of the overlap. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And sorry, what was the question?
You just agreed to something terrible. Oh, yeah. Do you know that? You just said absolutely to something that I said is not going to be good for you. But you said, okay. What's on your mind? How come you're not all here?
I actually wasn't expecting the show to go so long. I have to go to the bathroom very, very badly.
I tell you what. Why don't you go? You go ahead. You go ahead and run. You go ahead and run. I'll carry the show for a little while.
Okay, 2 minutes.
Okay, 2 minutes. Okay, go. Sometimes after talking to him for a little while, you kind of get the idea that his mind is not there. And I can tell when I'm sitting in a coffee shop and I'm walking and talking about stuff with him, and all of a sudden he'll go, yes, I agree. What are you agreeing to? Whatever you said. What did I say? And he would know. So in that respect, he's become that sort of a thing. But then again, he developed this listening skill. And I guess no matter what kind of relationship you have with whoever, your children or yourself or your spouse or somebody else's spouse, you always need to have that particular ability to listen. And with children, we tend to want to say more than we listen. And I think it should be the other way around. And we should listen because ex-wife didn't agree to the idea that every child is different, and that every child cannot be raised under the same rules and that other children are raised with, and that rules don't really. We tell them what exists. We tell them what society wants and demands. We show them the injustices that exist out there, and we tell them what we're capable of changing and not capable of changing, and that if they would like to be part of that change, that perhaps they could become a part of the leadership that can make that happen. So in many ways, we tend to want to inspire our children, feed them with the knowledge that they need, but don't bullshit them that we have all the answers. We don't. I don't have all the answers, and yet I'm still doing my best to be a good, quote unquote, good father, and that will not, that judgment about being a good father or bad father will not come out until I die. And I've never heard anybody say about anyone, he's a good father or she's a good mother. They'll say it because they did something in agreement to the whatever they feel or think, or they're inspired at that moment. But usually it's always answered in the past tense. He was a good father. May he rest in peace, or pieces, depending on what what he's trying to do. Like this, your father is trying to get into space with a vehicle that he builds himself. So yeah. So you don't say rest in peace. May my dad rest in pieces. Be able to da 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 da.
Yeah.
Well, who knows?
It's, either way, you'll be able to say it was a blast.
Yes, and you don't have to worry about the funeral. You know why?
Very affordable cremation.
That's right. That's right. The earth will do it for you. You see that ball of burning flames coming down through the atmosphere? That's my dad. It's all burnt up. Or maybe you can sing that song, "This man is on fire." Who knows? So, do you want to answer that last question again?
I'm so sorry. I didn't even hear the question. I was holding that for so long, just watching the time, and what a relief. What was the question?
What else besides listening can a parent do to create a better relationship with their children, and vice versa? What other than listening can a child do to build a better relationship with their parent, father or mother, and or?
I can't say from the parents' point of view. I've never been one. I think you would be the best person to answer that. But
that's a parent. It's a joke.
But yeah, from a child's point of view, the best thing you can do to build a better relationship is communicate more, communicate better, and learn how to communicate better. And a lot of that is learning yourself and where your own mental blockages lie, and when you become more in touch with yourself, it's a lot easier to become better in touch with everyone else around you. Or at least that's what I've found.
Any advice for people listening to you that may want to build better relationship with their parents? How did you didn't out of magic learn the skills? You didn't sit down and wisdom fell on your head somehow. What did you have to go through? What did you have to learn the hard way, easy way? Are there source materials people can go to that you went to?
I was lucky enough to have my father there a lot of the way, and him, giving me these golden nuggets here and there. But there certainly was a lot of learning the hard way, and I think sometimes you have to go through that, and sometimes it's just continuing to push in the direction that you need to push, and knowing what you want, and never stop driving forward.
Was there anything practical in that I could get? Like, Yes, the first thing I did was step one. The second thing I did was step two. And the third thing I did, which fucked up very, very badly, was step three. Then I skipped to four. Something like that. Like you you failed at a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
How did it make you feel to fail?
Um, Initially, a failure never feels good. Everyone wants to succeed. Everyone wants to win. Um, and I think that's universal. It applies to everyone. Um,
But
but
you became comfortable with it, which is
when
which
you,
is what I'm struggling to do.
yeah, if when you have the courage to fail um, fearlessly, when you have the courage to step out and actively pursue failure for the sake of improving yourself, for the sake of learning, because failure and mistakes are how we learn. And when you embrace the fact that, and you're not running from the failure itself, from these mistakes, from the pain of flopping, and you embrace it as part of the struggle, um, it just becomes part of the path.
I have an idea for you. Why didn't you write a book about that? And you just gave us the title, Failing Fearlessly. Because then that singular book, no matter how thick or long or whatever, will be so useful in helping kids, like Lawrence was saying, get through the struggles and learn specifically from the struggles that you've had, because your long list of failures, quote unquote, for the longest time, I remember you were comparing yourself with your cousins, and some of them are mentally not there. We won't mention names because that's another can of worms we'll open up, but there are three of them. And then you have other cousins over here that may not have a very high EQ in terms of how you feel as they spit words out towards you. And they're not kind words at all along the way. But somehow with the failures came a lot of emotional pain and a lot of what is it when you are not embarrassed, but it means embarrassed.
Shame.
Yeah, ashamed of yourself or your who you are and so on and so forth. But you got through that, and so that book, "Failing Fearlessly," is actually a much needed book that is missing in the entrepreneurial world. It's missing in the business world. It's missing in the parenting world, because all of school is geared towards everybody fitting within the bell curve. And what about the people outside of the curve? What happens to them? And what if you're not at the top? Then it becomes like, are you not then worthy? Are you not then enough for the world? And so competition and things that they do, and there must be failure and da 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 da. There must be success at all costs. You got to be number one, champion, number one, da da da. I think this is all garbage and nonsense. It's not cooperative learning anymore, is it? So I have a friend. You might have met him with Sweden. Remember Sweden Low? We met this
Yeah.
this great big haired white dude from California. You thought he was like an Einstein. His name is Spencer Kagan, and he was teaching something called cooperative learning, and we were releasing that into the schools and teaching them to create cooperative classes. You could bring that kind of thing into the book and talk about that. And so I would suggest you do
Yeah,
that,
that's a brilliant
because
idea. I think there's a lot of people could benefit from that.
I think so. Great. So now it's July. The book should be out October
Let me
with
go
a
back.
course. With a course. So that the failure becomes part of everything you do. Uh, a necessary part. Otherwise, you don't learn much. There was a
Absolutely.
there was a priest, a Christian, priest who went through Africa. I don't know if you heard the story. And he came upon a village where everybody was all children were playing cooperative games and things like that. And he was giving them a toy. He said, "Look, I'll give this. Not it wasn't toy. Sorry, it was ice cream. He was going to give this ice cream and chocolates to these kids, but he said, I'm going to give this to the winner of this race." And he says the winner will get these chocolates because he only had a few. And so 18 kids or something were racing, the standing there. They didn't understand the purpose of it. Go to that tree and come back. And the one who wins, the one who comes here first, will get the chocolates. So all the children ran and they were holding hands. They were holding hands to the tree and they were holding hands coming back. And he was puzzled. They said, wait a minute, only one has to win. And they said, why? We cannot let somebody lose. We're all together. We all win or we all don't win. That's it, period. Not fail. We all win or we all don't win. That's it. And if we saw life like this, we either have a win or we don't win. That's it, period. And if you don't win, what do? Give up, cry, spend days with Palmer and his 5 daughters just trying to think about what could be better and so on and so forth. Or we could go forward and say, hey, I didn't win. So what do we need to do? Try again. And after that, if you don't win, what do? Try again. And try again. Try again. Try again. Try again. And never give up. Use that in the book. October, you said, coming out? Just in time for Frankfurt?
Is Frankfurt even happening this year with the virus?
I do not know. So far, they said no. I don't see a virtual Frankfurt happening anywhere. Possibly because yours truly has the domain, but that's a different story.
Well, let's see what happens. It'd be exciting.
It will be exciting. It would be exciting. If you have any questions for either Luke or myself, now would be a good time to interject, come in, write your questions over there, or be part of the program. Ashok, I don't know what you do on Fridays, but you don't seem to be able to get on the program on Fridays. But still, come on board, say hello, talk about your relationship with your father and your relationship with your son, and see if there are similarities between that. Otherwise, we're coming to the close of another program of Uncommon Sense, Father and Son Theater. I was hoping that we would talk freely. I hear the echo. You hear the echo?
I hear the echo.
No. Where is that coming from?
It's certainly not on my end. Or is it?
It is. Yeah, don't know.
All right. Well, we're coming up on almost an hour and a half now.
Yes. And you didn't want to go this far.
There's just so many projects and so many books to work on. If there is anything specific that anyone would like to talk about, I'd always love to be there if it's something that'll help. But
speak now, forever hold your peace. The next program is going to be next Wednesday, and it will be a carryover of what we were talking about before. What was that, Luke? Betrayal and love, because I think that's very important when you have to deal with the psychological impact of betrayal and being cheated on, and so on and so forth. That's going to stir a little bit of worms here and there, but I think I should address it from a psychology perspective as well. And I think that would also help people retain some kind of, perspective, what they can do and all of that. Ashok says, I didn't want to interrupt father and son therapy session. Laugh out loud. Uh, there's not much therapy going on. Therapy means re-education, by the way. It's a Latin word that means re-education. So, Ashok, if you're not going to come on and say anything, and anybody else is not going to come out and say anything, within 2 minutes, we're going to call it a day, and we will talk to you again next week. If you are interested in Ashok's program, he will put the link here on StreamYard or here on Facebook, and it's live tomorrow at 11 p.m. Singapore time. That would be 11 a.m. New York time, because nobody spiritual wakes up before that in New York. And so they don't want to do that. So that's late for me, but it's okay. And what time would that be in Bulgaria? So we have an in-between.
That should be about 4:30 this.
If it's 11 p.m. minus 5, what is that for you? What's 11 minus 5?
6.
6 p.m. Bulgarian time.
6 p.m. Yep.
Yeah. All right.
Ready for another coffee. I'll wake
That's
up a
okay.
little bit.
All right, Luke, thank you for participating in this program. You've been very good. But remember, you can be open too. It's all right. I think a lot of people need to we don't have to think about the, what's the word, the, not trademark, what the heck do you call it? Wow, it's so late that I can't even remember. Identity, not identity, brand. We don't have to worry about the whole brand thing. We can speak openly, honestly, what's been happening, what's not been happening, what's real, what's not real, and so on and so forth. I think a lot of people would kind of appreciate that as well. What do you think? Michelle Baca is watching. Michelle, hey, welcome to the show. We're just concluding, actually, Michelle, because this is Luke, my son, and we've been talking about his ordeal being my son, and how he survived it relatively well. And so he doesn't blame his relationships and all that. He has a father he can blame for that. So that's a different story as well.
Blame no one. And keep living as you would live, keep being happy, and keep striving to be better each day.
Better than what?
Better than you were before.
So we don't know what we were like before. We have no clue.
And we're blissfully unaware.
Actually, you know what I've been thinking about last 3 days, just before we go. I know you have things to do and stuff. I've been rethinking this whole thing about direction, about doing something for a purpose, all this passion stuff and all this, and creating stuff for people. Yes, of course. And stuff that we thought was common sense is not for a lot of people. So we have to write it down and give it out to people. And you'd be surprised, even the littlest things. And that's what coaching is all about. And there are people who really should not be coaches that are coaches. I don't know if you realize that. It's very, very difficult. So I've been thinking that almost every day I strive to do this. I strive to do that. I have a plan to accomplish this. I have a plan to accomplish that. And there's a part of me, because I've been doing the CE5 protocol, like a lot, 3 times a day, Luke. Is that ridiculous? That's ridiculous, right? Today, when I did it in your Uncle Pubi's place, I sat down there and the maid was cleaning up and everything, because everything needs to be cleaned up. And I did it, and everybody told me I just fell asleep. I just totally fell asleep. And I was sitting up in the chair, and I fell asleep doing that CE protocol. And tonight, I'm going to do it again. I don't know what it is, but I feel that there's something greater than I am that I'm connecting with. And then I realized that every day shit, Luke, I don't know how to explain it. I'm alive. I'm alive to see you. I mean, I don't know if you noticed that once in a while I look at you and I say, wow, you used to be sperm. You know what I mean? And look at you. I knew you when you were this little. I brought you back from the hospital. We were driving through snow. Literally, it was snowing in Vermont like crazy. And from the Brattleboro Hospital, I mean, you couldn't see the road. You couldn't see anywhere you were going except that, and you were in the front seat because you had to be. Apparently, it's some kind of law facing the other way. But you were like that big. I mean, 5 pounds, something like that, 4.5,
Yeah,
something,
born premature.
something. Yeah, yeah. And for 3 weeks, your name was It. we had no real name for you, and so I'm in that same state now because I started then thinking I had to be a this, I had to be a good father, I had to da 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 da, and if I did this and this and I did everything I'm supposed to do, it was never enough for who, but it I thought I was doing okay, but I guess I wasn't. And then it's only recently, in the last little while, a few days, months, leading to this, 2 weeks, leading to days, that I'm beginning to realize that I'm just happy waking up and being able to wake up every day, happy to see and hear rain or clouds or sun or anything, being able to eat the first morsels of food that come your way, being able to appreciate every relationship that says hello to you in the morning, even the ones that curse you for the last 20 years, whatever they were, for whatever reasons, and whether it's your fault, not my fault, and this and that. And if I haven't said all this, I'm building up. If I haven't said it yet, even though we have very, very deep questions about life, and we're trying to solve this here, all of my perceptions, misconceptions are being swept away. I'm just very grateful to know someone like you. I mean, assume you're not my son, right? Just a Osama bin Laden looking guy with the beard, met on the street. And and I would choose you to be a friend.
Oh, likewise. Very much so.
No, really, I would, because you make a lot of sense, and you, besides being diplomatic and many things, you actually care about people, and that's what I like about you. That you do that, and even and you're not as unkind as your cousins. You've seen people who are down and out, and you don't lord it over them. You actually sit down and consider, and you treat them equally as you would treat the CEO of a company. So if I haven't told you that, I just want to tell you that's, I think you, in between everything I've done, I don't think I need to teach you anything else. Now it's your turn to teach me a few things, because I think that makes me a successful parent, to know that I had influence in some way, a dude like you, walking the planet, doing the stuff he's doing, whether quote unquote successfully by some people's standards or not, makes no difference to me, Luke. I'm very proud of you.
Well, I appreciate that, and the feeling's mutual. I think that if we weren't
you're proud that you raised me too.
Yeah. And I don't think that's true, that you don't have things still to teach me, and it is true that I might have some things to teach you. I think in life we all consistently have more to learn from each other, and it's all about the journey going forward.
Mm-hmm. Noraini was 3 pounds 7 ounces, born 7 months, premature.
Wow.
As big as a palm on my mother's palm. Lauren says, strong love between you. Yeah. Yeah, I have nothing else to say. I'm out of things to say. Luke, I really appreciate you.
Yeah, I appreciate you too.
Now you have to go because you're far behind, and you've got a lot of people that are calling you, and you put them on silent mode. I can hear the buzzing. Yes, I know. All right, son. Thank you for being part of this show. Look forward to seeing you on Friday. Oh, wait. Before you go, Andrew Osborne is watching. And this is the Andrew I was telling you about. Andrew, are you doing okay? Let me know, please, because I've been wanting to call you, but every time I try, I'm ready to call you. It's too late. And I know we have a 12-hour difference. So please let us know. Luke is listening as well, my son. And let us know that you are okay. The operation went really well, and that you are headed home or are already home. So let's wait for his reply, Luke, before we say goodbye. You want to wrap up with people before we call it a night while we're waiting for Andrew as well? Anything you want to share? Not necessarily about me, about you, about... Don't start with your mom thing, because that would be another program and a half. Of therapy.
I have no one specific, nothing specific. For me, it's all about what you guys would like to hear.
They are very silent. They're just enjoying the show. The theater. Michelle says, thank you. Always good to see you, Mel. Nice to meet you, Luke. Oops. And it disappeared, went further up. Hang on for a second. Let me pull it back down. I'll watch a replay from the beginning. Cool, Michelle. Always looking forward to seeing you.
Looks like Andrew just replied here.
I'm all right. I've been so sad missing my family. I haven't been able to do the operation. Foot is still swollen. Most likely Monday to go home Tuesday. Awesome. Just remember, kiddo, you're going to be hard. You're going to be okay. It's hard to be without your family, and I'm sure it feels that way for them as well because of the COVID situation. And you have to maintain a cheerful attitude, because let me tell you something. Nothing invites COVID better than being depressed, and suppresses your immune system as well. So stay happy. Think about happy things. Turn to, if they have a television in there, turn to the, what's the channel that always has these comedians on it? Comedy Central. Yeah, turn on Comedy Central. Laugh a little bit more. Don't focus on the fact that you're not without your family. That's a given. That cannot be helped. So know that you're going to meet them on Tuesday. And while you sit and watch Comedy Central, I want you to relax and breathe. Like I told you the other night, relax, breathe, and send your attention and your consciousness to the foot. And just say, what's the opposite of swell, Luke, when it swells? Inflamed. There's a word.
When it deflames? What is the word?
Something is swollen. It shouldn't be swollen. It should be blah. It shouldn't. If it's not inflamed, it is reduced. Yes, it means reduced, but there should be a reduction in inflammation, but there's a word. Normal. Just think of normal foot. Look at your normal foot, Andrew, and imagine that that's also your other foot. Yeah, and that way you start to reduce the inflammation as well, and the fear disappears, and you're ready to go home. Think of your cells as multiplying with health, pink in color with health, and you'll be okay. Healthy is a good word. Yes, healthy is a good word. My internet just went off, so yeah, I'm gonna have to depend on you, Luke, for the what people are saying here.
Oh, absolutely.
Holy crap! Or it's Facebook that kind of reboots itself once in a while. Have you noticed that? And you're watching something and it doesn't work so well. Not inflamed. Sure. Thank you so much. Andrew says, yeah, sure. Absolute pleasure, Andrew. So, yeah, I got it back on. All right. So, anything you want to add for Andrew? Lukaduke?
No, I wish you a speedy recovery and all the best.
All right. You've been listening. Try it again. You've been listening to Uncommon Sense, FAST, Fast, Father and Son Theater with Luc Gill and me, Mel Gill. And Luke will say goodnight for now. And Luke, thank you for being part of this show.
Oh, it's my absolute pleasure. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you for contributing, and I'm looking forward to seeing you on the next one.
Good night, son.
Good night.
And thank you so much, the rest of you, for being part of this program as well. The next program will be on Wednesday. I don't know what date it is, next Wednesday, and we'll talk about betrayal and when you've been cheated on and all of that, and how to recover from all of this and to live a normal, healthy life as well. And plus, if all of you can give support to this young man who's a musician as well, pray for him. And you'll be surprised. Sometimes the thoughts that we send to people, good thoughts, tend to affect bone tissue, muscle tissue, nerve tissues, and they also help to support his immune system while he's in the hospital. He's got until Tuesday to get himself out and home. And that's a short 3 days away, Andrew, so you'll make it and it'll be okay. If anyone else would like to hear more Uncommon Sense, please tell your friends more about this program as well. Joycelyn, I will call you not next Saturday, but tomorrow in some decent time in Scotland, so that we can discuss what it is that you needed help with. And I'm opening myself to anyone who needs help personally that way as well. And I don't charge. If people are asking what is my fees, I don't charge. I never have for the last 10 years. And I won't, because I really want, I want to help as many people as possible, but I can only keep the conversations as short as I can, because imagine doing that times 400, and soon my day doesn't continue very well. Dobrin says, hello, Dr. Mel. Will be good if you make a show and discuss how to protect ourselves from energy vampires. I was just discussing that with somebody yesterday. Let's do that. Let's try it again. Let's do that next week as well. We'll start because part of that separation from people, part of the pain that you feel from other people who are sucking away all of that energy from you, has a lot to do with sense of betrayal, sense of worth, and all of that as well. So we'll talk about it from an energetic perspective, and that would be very useful. So I hope that works for you as well. In the meanwhile, though, have yourself a great weekend. And before you go, let me give you a little message that's been stirring up inside, a thought, if you will, to carry throughout the rest of the day. sometimes when you think about the spaces in between thoughts and the spaces in between people, sometimes you ask yourself, is there a need to seek the truth? And if there is a need to seek the truth, all you have to do is put a stop to your opinions. That's really all you have to do. And when the opinions stop, then you find truth. Life is like that. Life, is made up of day and night, and a song is made up of music and silence, and friendships, because they are of this world, are also made up of times of being in touch and the spaces in between when we're not in touch, like in a certain relationship within father and son, for instance. So, or even mother and daughter. So being human, we sometimes fill these spaces with worry, or we imagine the silence is some form of punishment, or we internalize the time that we are not in touch with a loved one as some unexpressed change of heart, and we become sensitive to that. Our minds work very hard to make something out of nothing. We can perceive silence as rejection in an instant, and then build a cold castle on that tiny imagined block of rock. So the only release from the tensions that we weave around nothing is to remain a creature of the heart. And by giving voice to the river of feelings as they flow through and through, we can stay clear, we can stay open. In daily terms, we call this checking in occasionally with one another, though most of us reduce this sometimes to a grocery list. How are you today? Do you need any milk, eggs, juice, toilet paper? And though we can help each other survive with such outer kindnesses, we can help each other thrive when the checking in with each other comes from a list of inner kindnesses. How are you today? Do you need an affirmation or any affirmation? Do you need clarity? Do you need support? Do you need understanding? When we ask these deeper questions directly, we wipe the mind clean of its misconceptions. And just as we must dust our belongings from time to time, we must also wipe away what covers us when we're apart. Thank you for your kind attention, for being part of this program, Uncommon Senses. If I haven't told you, and if I don't get a chance to wake up in the morning tomorrow, I want to let you know that I'm grateful for your support, grateful for your kind words. I'm grateful for your attention. And if there's any way I can serve you somehow, in any form, please don't hesitate to ask. Good night.